In English words, Q is almost always followed by U. So why does this come about? What's so strange about the letter Q? I'll explain in this video, and at the end of the video I'll look at some of the exceptions to the rule, the few words in English which have a Q not followed by a U, and explain how they came about. To understand why Q is always followed by U in English, we have to trace back the history of the alphabet. The alphabet used in English is from the Latin alphabet. We can say that English has a Latin script alphabet because its letters are from the Latin alphabet. The Latin alphabet developed from the alphabet used to write Etruscan. Etruscan was an ancient language in Italy which became extinct around the start of the 1st century AD. This in turn had come from the Greek alphabet, which had come from the Phoenician alphabet. The ancestor of the letter Q in Phoenician is this letter, Corp. Corp represented a consonant sound in Phoenician we don't have in English. The Greek alphabet inherited Corp as Copper. The ancient Greek language didn't have the same sound that Phoenician Corp did, but it did have a similar sound. Now, vowel sounds are divided into front, central, and back vowels, depending on where they are produced in your mouth. In ancient Greek, k before back vowels o and u sounded the most like corp, and so copper was used to write the k sound before o and u. Before I, E, and A, the letter kappa was used for the k sound. The Etruscan alphabet continued this pattern, but threw a new letter for k into the mix, the letter C, for reasons to be explained in a future video. When Latin took on this alphabet, at an early stage it had this distribution. C was used for the k sound before front vowels I and E, K before central vowel A, and Q, which slightly changed shape from copper, before back vowels O and U. This was how the letters were used in early Latin writing. But it didn't make much sense to have so many letters representing just one sound. Gradually, C pushed out K and Q to become the main letter representing the k sound. The letter K became restricted to exceptional words in Latin. Q was no longer used before O, but it wasn't eliminated altogether. Let's take one Latin word, quis, as an example to explain why. This word has 2 vowels in it, right? Well, yes, but it's a one-syllable word, quis. That's because the U in this word is not acting as a vowel. Instead, it's acting like a consonant W, like English W. The word isn't pronounced quis, it's pronounced quis. This is illustrative of a wider pattern in Latin. When k is followed by U and then a vowel, the U has this W sound. And because this was a special environment where U had a different sound, it makes sense to think that this QU combination is something special. And so the letter Q survived, only when it's followed by a U and then a vowel. Words with QU from Latin came through French into English, like quest. English already had some words with a qu sound, like queen, spelt with CW. Since QU and CW now both represented the same sound, having both was redundant, and CW was replaced by QU across the board. So we can now see the origin of why QU exists as a unit and has the sound qu. Now let's take a look at the few words in English that have a Q not followed by a U, and see why they break the rule. If you're trying to think of exceptions, the first words that come to mind will probably be proper nouns, such as the country names Iraq and Qatar. Country names can often be examples of interesting linguistic phenomena. Check out my video about country names and linguistic mismatches to see some examples. In the case of Iraq and Qatar, these are both countries whose official language is Arabic. Why is this important? Because Arabic is in the same language family as Phoenician. They are both Semitic languages. Remember earlier in this video, when I said Corp, the ancestor of Q, represented a consonant sound in Phoenician we don't have in English. Arabic has this same sound. So when we adopt Arabic words into English, including country names such as Iraq and Qatar, we use the letter Q to represent this sound. Words directly borrowed from another language are called loanwords. Almost all the words in English which include Q not followed by U are loanwords from a language such as Arabic, Persian, or Mandarin, which has sounds that don't exist in English. Q is used to approximate these sounds. The words in English which feature a Q not followed by a U and are not loanwords have been formed by different processes. For example, freak and trank are simply abbreviations of longer words that obey the rule that Q is followed by U. Otherwise, the word QWERTY refers to a popular keyboard design and is simply taken from the first 6 letters along the top of the keyboard. Did anything in this video surprise you? Are there features of language you've always wondered about? Leave a comment. While you're here, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you'll get another video from Philologism every week.